Coach Dave Canales, by the way, also met with the media after practice today, talked about giving up play calling duties. Listen to this.
Sometimes I'm not sure what to do with my hands, and if I ever feel like that, I just kind of, beeline over to another group and try to add a little juice and a little bit of excitement with what they're doing. And I like that role, and I'm confident in our coordinators and the job that they've done organizing this off season and crescendoing to this point where we get to be on the field and then just continuing to push the group.
Okay, so Carolina coming off winning the NFC South last season. Do you have any concerns for this offense going into year 3 with Canales? Canales was brought in to call plays. It's what he does well, and he's giving it up.
I do, and I have great respect for Coach Canales. I don't like the fact that you're giving up play calling. I think if you're hired because of your play calling, continue to be a play caller. Figure out the rest of the parts and maybe put more on other people. So that's number one. I think number two, I think Bryce Young's just under as much pressure as really any quarterback in the NFL. I mean, if you go back to that Rams playoff game, they win it, he probably gets a $150 million extension. But he doesn't, and they don't. And now all the chips are on the table for Dan Morgan, their general manager. I think it really comes down to the perimeter players. I think this is good offensive line. Not having Rico Dowdle gives me a little bit of pause, but it's really the perimeter players. Tet was great. Who takes a step forward? Jacob Coker's a nice player. Is he really going to be the reliable number 2? They drafted Brazel out of Tennessee. But I don't love the fact that, and I don't know why the wave of like, hey, let's just hire these people who have never called plays before. They're hiring Brad Idzik, who, to my knowledge, has never called plays. So, yeah, I have a lot of hesitation on it.
You pointed out to me it gives them a lever that they can pull midseason, these head coaches, if it's not going. Maybe that's a little
They
part
take
of it.
over. We've seen it.
I share a lot of your concerns. I do think when I look at this Panthers offense as a whole and look at the depth chart, I think the run game, which was fine last year, a little bit inconsistent, has the potential to be one of the better rushing attacks in the NFL. It starts with the offensive line. They were banged up last season. Didn't have Robert Hunt, who's their big money guard. Then you go out, you draft Monroe Freeling out of Georgia. Sam Hecht might play at the center. And when I look at this offensive line, I think this should be an under center, outside zone rushing attack, which they were already good at last year, by the way. They averaged 5.4 yards per carry out of outside zone, but they were primarily a shotgun running team. I think for Idzik, there needs to be a little bit of an evolution in the ground game to match the skills of his offensive line, because this is a young, athletic offensive line that should be one of the better run-blocking position groups in the NFL.
I agree. The offensive line, the 2 running backs who are somewhat young players. Chuba's been in the NFL for a couple years now. They got to stay healthy. That's a big deal. And I would tell you that one of their tight ends is going to have to get a lot better in the run game blocking. Yeah, they're nice players. Sanders was coming on. Tremble is a good player, but he was coming on before injury last year. A little bit more of pass catchers than I would say great run blockers. But if they can run the football, it's obviously a big deal. I think more under center for Bryce is only going to be better.
Yeah. I'm excited to talk about this right now, because this is a very unique conversation. And I'm excited that it's a Carolina Panthers, because I've literally have a note on my notebook over there, because I wanted to make a Carolina Panthers video, but it's so hard to find Carolina Panthers content to be able to do that. I was going to have to make a Panthers clip out of a short little sound bite with the herd, where they were going to talk about the Panthers while talking about the Bengals. If you guys still want me to make that clip, definitely let me know, because like I said, I'm always trying to make more Panthers content. Clears throat, and so I was like, as soon as I saw Carolina, I'm like, yes, let's go, let's go, let's go. Before I jump into it, Carolina Panthers fans, please do not forget to subscribe and watch the full length of the video. When you guys do that, views go through the roof, subscribers go through the roof. It's not about chasing views, it's not about chasing subscribers, it's about being able to create Carolina Panthers content that people genuinely want to watch and discuss. So we can keep having the most unbiased, grounded, genuine conversations about the Carolina Panthers. Panthers are definitely one of the teams, like I've told you guys before, that it's not the easiest to not only find clips to be able to make, but then also get people to watch them, because it's just, unfortunately that's the reality, and I want to be able to make as much Panthers content as I can, honestly. So by watching the full length of the video and subscribing, it definitely really helps facilitate that. Now, I'm a huge fan of Dave Canales, and I love what he's been able to do in Carolina, and it really is fascinating to see this new wave of giving up play calling duties. And this is what's tough, because if you're a great play caller and you're giving up the duty I'm curious to what degree does the coordinator have full autonomy. Is it more like I'm going to tell you a type of play I want to run or what I'm thinking and now you pick because I'm going to be focused on other things like I'm just curious. I'm also curious in terms of if Dave Canales gives that up, what else is he doing to improve the team? What else is he doing to make sure that this team is ready to go? Cause I love how Dave Canales handles his teams. I love how he talks. I love his energy. I love what he puts out there. He's definitely the type of coach that I personally would love to play for, and there's plenty of coaches. I always point out the coaches that I really think that I personally would succeed under and other coaches that I think I would struggle, and it's not just always a matter of how great, like Ben Johnson I think is absolutely brilliant, elite, special, spectacular. I would not be in the best version of myself under him. I would be much better, Leave, with Liam Cohen, Dave Canales, etc. So, that's where I land with Dave Canales, right? A big believer in that. But, he did lab Sky, I'm glad he brought up the playoff game. I think Dave Canales really kind of hurt them in that game. I was not thrilled with the play calling in some of the game management, especially to wind down the half. I actually think Bryce Young bailed the Panthers out more than anyone wants to discuss. I was apparently the only one that was willing to praise and elevate and just celebrate, quite frankly, how unbelievable Bryce Young was in that game. And I said it. And a lot of people got mad at me. I said, Bryce Young outplayed Matthew Stafford. He just did. And we're not going to unpack that whole game and explain why. I already did that. I already went through it before. There's no point in doing that right now. But, I think the Panthers actually hurt Bryce in that moment. I'm not going to pretend like Bryce Young is always carrying the Panthers and that the Panthers always have consistently failed him, right? Like that this isn't like a Josh Allen type situation right here. But, like in that moment, in that game, I was like, man, the Panthers let Bryce Young down here. That's really how I truly felt. And I did think that Dave Canales was a bit of a contributing factor in that. Is it the biggest thing? No, because it's not like Dave Canales and Bryce Young have been coach-quarterback duo for the loss. Like 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So, it's just like, okay. I'm okay with that. So, I shouldn't say I'm okay with it, but I can accept it. I could understand it. And so, does doing something like this help solve some of that? Like, I am interested to see, because we have plenty of experience now with coaches who are true walk-around coaches who are just not really, they have a philosophy like Harbaugh, he's not the play caller, but he loves to run and play tough defense, right? Like we know that or we have like other walk-around coaches like a Dan Campbell or something. And we have other examples of like more old-school coaches, but I'm thinking more like modern NFL. Like Harbaugh, he doesn't call the defense and he doesn't call the offense and you're just like, okay, but what is he doing in this game? The other Harbaugh now, sorry. That may have been confusing. New York Giants Harbaugh. Compared to Chargers Harbaugh. And so it's just like what do you bring? And we saw that kind of be successful, be positive and negative with the Philadelphia Eagles. In 2024, Sirianni was able to really be focused on other aspects of a game. And Greg Olsen really highlighted, he did an interview with Colin Cowherd that I thought was really great. And he kind of highlighted, the benefits of a walk-around coach and how they can focus on other aspects throughout the game. And he pointed out a few examples of Sirianni doing that, and I think that Sirianni really showed that in the Super Bowl as well. Like he deserves a tremendous amount of credit for getting that team ready, prepared, understanding. I highlighted various clips of certain decisions that Sirianni specifically made, right? Very specific management of going for on third down, fourth down, not even just going for it, reject, declining a specific penalty, and then you see Zach Bone talk to another defensive player like, coach did that because he believes in us. And then Sirianni comes up to him and says, you know why I did that? I did it because I believed in you. And then Bone is like, you hear that? You hear what he said? See, I told you, right? And it's like some of those things you have when it's easier to do that type of management when you're a walk-around coach, right? And you're still there to help game plan and all of that type of stuff. But when there's a true problem like the Eagles had with their offensive coordinator, when you don't have a play caller who can problem solve and can rectify this, then it becomes a real issue. We don't have a ton of examples of someone who really can also be a great play caller, who can really be a huge impact on that aspect of the game, but gives up play calling. So now he can still focus on the other stuff. He can still be like, you know what? I think you're calling too many run plays right now. Whatever it is, right? It's like, okay, I like the idea of passing here, but like that this is the part of the playbook that I want to look to. I don't know. Again, it all depends on how it actually really unfolds. But also, if you need to troubleshoot, and I've been talking about this a lot recently, is that, coaches need to be able to troubleshoot. They need to be able to problem solve. And when you already have a play caller like Dave Canales, who's now giving up his play calling duties, he's still in a position to troubleshoot and problem solve in any given moment take over. So, it's like it's not the worst thing. It's interesting, and it would be more concerning if you didn't trust his abilities as a play caller. And I do think that it's more concerning when you just have a coach altogether who's just like, that's just not what I do. And it's like, well, then what do you do? Dan Quinn, another good example, went to the Commanders. And apparently he doesn't really call the defense. And it's just like he really just wants to be more of a walk-around coach. And it's like, but you got hired because you built an awesome defense with the Dallas Cowboys. That's why you got another head coaching job, because you built this elite Dallas Cowboys defense. And now you're in Washington not doing that, then it's like, I don't know what purpose you serve in this moment right now. And again, there is other roles as a head coach. I always talk about it. It's just running a team in general. Just being able to run a team, run practices. Not even all the other stuff, like talking to the media and all that type of stuff, but like being able to run an offense, delegate responsibilities, manage the team itself, get the team ready and prepared, talking with the other coaches and emphasizing specific things, right? Looking at the film for another team that you're facing and pointing out, hey, we really want to be able to do X, Y, and Z. We really want to push this team to, I don't know, whatever. Run the ball. I'm trying to be super generic, run the ball, right? Like we want that. I've been watching the film and my coaching talents tell me that we want to make the other team run the ball rather than pass the ball. It's like, thanks, coach. But little things like that obviously matter a lot more than that silly example. And so it's just, coaching is complex, and there is definitely more to it than just straight up play calling. But at the same time, seemingly in the most meaningful moments of games, in the most got to have it moments, in the most oh my gosh, this game is won or lost. A lot of times you could be like, that was brilliant play LL. That was, and that's why I always point to an Andy Reid or a McVay or something where I'm especially Andy, where I'm just did you see that play call? Even a game against the Bills and the Chargers in 2024. Again, this is film that I broke down and in interviews that I broke down with Greg Cosell and it's just you could see the play calling in the game plan of Andy Reid. You could see them running the same play 3 or 4 different times, but going about it differently all 4 times. It's that's Andy Reid. Scheming a walk-in touchdown for Patrick Mahomes. That's Andy Reid. Scheming a wide-open third down conversion to ice the game. It's that's Andy Reid. Doesn't mean that these other players didn't have a huge impact. Doesn't mean that the defense didn't rise to the occasion or that, that the O-line whatever it may be. Mahomes but it's just like you can really point at Spags, though the disguised pressure that he gave on Josh Allen on the one play that we had to throw it up like you hear Drew Brees talk about it and he's like that's brilliant. That's play calling. In that moment it's like that's play calling. That's coaching. That's having control. If you're a walk-around coach, whether it's offense or defense, it's like you're not there in that moment. And maybe you do. Maybe in that moment you insert yourself. That's where T's kind of confusing. That's where you just don't have all of the information. So, how exactly it unfolds, I think it's pretty difficult. Especially when you have true play calling abilities in a way that maybe Dan Campbell's here cause again Dan Campbell tried to take over play calling. And then he's not continuing to do that. They hired a new coordinator and that guy is going to have the play calling duties now. It's not like he's like no, I'm just going to do it myself. It's like no, he took it over. You kind of felt maybe there was a little extra juice there for a second, but it pretty much just kind of went back to normal how the team had been playing. So, Dave Canales doesn't necessarily have that fate because of his talent at calling plays. So, in a way it's kind of almost worth it to kind of see hey, can I help out this team even more? My ability to oversee this aspect of this team still exists and I can still contribute in meaningful ways and if worse comes to worse in any given moment I can literally jump in and be a play caller like that. The only thing is and I don't know this. If someone could help me out here, I honestly really don't know cause I was not fortunate to be in the I don't know how many voices are allowed in a quarterback's helmet. I honestly actually don't know that. Can it be both coach and OC or just OC? Just the immediate play caller. I honestly don't know. I don't know if FO. For instance, if you're the quarterback, if you can talk to Josh Allen. Can you talk to Sean McDermott and Brady? McDermott's the head coach or can you talk to I don't even know the passing game corner? I honestly don't know. Something that I would love to know. That would be the only other thing that I would be the only problem is you lose the ability to be in conversation with your head coach. And again, your head coach is not just giving you the play. They're telling you other stuff as well. It's more than just that. I'm also curious when it's time to have conversations on the sideline, is Dave Canales now talking to Bryce Young less? Is there less of that or is it a meeting of the minds and now you just have three? OC, Dave Canales, and Bryce Young in the middle of a timeout, right? You can see that and you see that with again, Sean McDermott. I remember this video and this screenshot. You specifically see Brady and Joe Brady, the OC for the Bills, and Josh Allen talking and Sean McDermott just in the distance just standing there. He's the head coach and he's completely removed from this conversation. And in a got to have a moment, you just call timeout, 30 seconds to go, right? It's just fourth quarter win or go home. Yeah, it's a little uncomfortable to be you're he. D coach, the guy who runs your entire team is not really part of this moment. It's a little uncomfortable. That is not the case with Andy Reid. That is not the case with Sean McVay. That is not the case with Shanahan. That is not the case. And it's okay. And it makes sense, so yeah. This is my long-winded way of saying it's an interesting decision. It's a little bit more complicated. I understand Orlovsky's reservations about it. I'm a little bit more optimistic and open-minded to it and I do think it's a little bit different when you have that true talent as a play caller. And I think it's worth it to see okay, does this help our team? And if not, no big deal. I'm back. Right? To me, that's why then it's a kind of a low risk a low risk gamble. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Carolina Panthers, Dave Canales play calling, everything that I just talked about for the last 18 minutes. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions, get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be RT of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.